Welcome to this free webinar on how to get celebrities and influencers to contribute to your academic book. So we're talking about getting celebrities or major influencers to write the foreword to your book or the afterword to your book or even a chapter in your book or even just get a celebrity or influencer to write a review of your book. Now, I am the founder of the Power Your Research platform, and Power Your Research is all about helping academics, no matter what stage of their career, whether you're an adjunct or a full professor, a graduate student, it doesn't matter. I'm teaching you how to raise your profile as an academic and get major media coverage and visibility. So this free webinar is specifically about how to get celebrities, super celebrities, influencers to contribute to your book. And I don't want to spend a lot of time on who I am and my background because I want to give you the information that you came here for. And so throughout this webinar, I'll be showing you how I have used the techniques I'm teaching you to get these celebrities and influencers to contribute to your book. So let's get started. My name is Dr. Sheena Howard. I do research on intercultural and rhetorical communication. My research is kind of wide, but for the purposes of raising your profile, you want to kind of get into a niche, right? We talk about this in the Power Your Research e-course. You want to get into a niche and kind of pound at that niche that you're researching in to create a name for yourself in that niche. So and I'm going to publish a book called Why Wakanda Matters in February 2021. So whenever you are watching this webinar, this book could already be out or it could be coming out soon. But my next book, Why Wakanda Matters, has a foreword written by Philip Boutte Jr., who was actually the concept artist for the movie Black Panther. Yes, he's the concept artist for the movie Black Panther, but not only that, he does the concept art for all of the movies that have animation, basically. The Hunger Games, sort of anything you can think about. And right here on this screen, you can see the cover of my book, but you also see an article of Philip Boutte Jr., who was covered in Variety, but he's super well known. And these are the things that you can do for your academic book to raise your profile and to get more visibility. And so I haven't just done it for this book. I've been connecting influencers and celebrities to my academic books since I started publishing books right out of grad school. So if you're watching this, it doesn't matter if you already have a following or have no following at all. You can use the techniques that I'm showing you to do exactly what I've been doing over the last 10 years. So let me just give you a couple of quick examples. And by no means am I promoting my work. I'm showing you that what I'm teaching you is things that I've actually done. So this was one of my earlier books, Critical Articulations of Race, Gender, and Sexual Orientation. For this book, it's an edited book, so I had contributors write chapters, but more pertinent to this webinar is I had Shelley Bell write poems for each section of the book that directly correlated to that section of the book. So when you read this book, in between each section, you'll see a poem from her. Now, Shelley Bell has been in Forbes. She's been everywhere. She has a bigger following than me. She's the founder of a company called Black Girl Ventures. She's, been like the poet laureate for the DMV area. Super popular, super influential, and she contributed to my academic book. So that means when this book is published, guess what? She's marketing the book to her fans and followers that don't know who I am. So now her fans and followers are coming over to me because they want to know who I am. Now they're following me. Now they're buying the book. Has a snowball effect, right? That's how you get the media coverage, the interviews. That's how you get the popularity, right? That's how you break out of just having academics read your work. We're talking about crossover appeal and raising your profile. Another example, right? So this is a book, Encyclopedia of Black Comics, that I published in 2017. If you see there, right, forward by Henry Louis Gates and Christopher Priest. I'm sure you know who Henry Louis Gates is, right? Superstar academic, superstar professor, very popular in his field, the host of Finding Your Roots, right? He was the subject of the whole beer summit that President Obama did. So I had Henry Louis Gates, right? Little old academic, write the forward to my book, Encyclopedia of Black Comics. So he has like millions of followers, right? Millions of followers. So now my book is in front of his audience, right? Now I just raised my profile. Right now everybody knows Encyclopedia of Black Comics. Right now I'm the go-to, right, in academia in my field because Henry Louis Gates contributed to my book. On top of that, in that book, Christopher Priest is a legend in the area of comics. Okay, and my book is on Black comics, and he's a legend. So not only am I getting the audience from Henry Louis Gates, I'm double dipping and getting an audience from the comics field, right? And fans of comics might not necessarily know my academic work, but now they do because now we have Christopher Priest writing the afterword of my book. So I've been doing this since 1 year out of grad school. This is my first book, okay? And this is the edited book, and the contributors in that book are people that are superstars in the comics field, right? Way more popular than I was at that time. So you might be wondering at this point, okay, I get the picture, okay? You've done it, and you might be thinking, you might be sitting there saying, how can I do it? How can I do it? So let's get to it. So first of all, let me just give you some context. I know we already talked about this a little bit, but why use influencers or celebrities? It's all about borrowing audiences. If you attended my first free webinar on how to get major media coverage and visibility, we talked about the idea, the concept, the very practical strategy of borrowing audiences. You need to get yourself and your work in front of other people that have a wider, larger audience that are going to be interested in your work, right? Right. So Henry Louis Gates' audience might not even be aware that they care about comics, right? But when Henry Louis Gates posts about it, right, or he's on the cover of my book, now I borrowed that audience. Now they're like, who is Sheena Howard? What does she do? What is this book about, right? Connecting with influencers and celebrities obviously increase book sales, right? There's no doubt about it. But it also raises your profile, right? I am here to get academics the recognition that they deserve in mainstream media. That is my goal. That is my mission. I'm going to show you everything I've done over the last 10 years to do that, right? So these books that I just showed you, one's been featured in the New York Times, one's been featured in the LA Times. I've been on BBC, I mean, all of the major media outlets, and I've done it by doing exactly what I am teaching you here. Okay, so now what I'm teaching you here is a part of the larger Power Your Research e-course. So I'm giving you as much information as I can give you in this free webinar without taking up too much of your time, because I like to keep these free webinars short and sweet, because I know you're busy and you want to get on with it. So let's continue. How to identify influencers. Now this is super important, because you don't just want any old celebrity to contribute to your book just because they're a celebrity, right? That's not gonna help you, right? So you want to think about a celebrity or influencer that may not directly be in your niche area. Okay, so what do I mean by that? I mean, you see this book, Encyclopedia of Black Comics. Okay, it's about comic strips, comic books, and superheroes with a focus on African Americans. So Henry Louis Gates might not be an obvious choice, but he is, because he has a large African American following, right? He may not have ever published or done anything on comics, but he does lots of stuff on the history of African Americans, their roots, media representation, that kind of thing. And I'm going to show you a nice Venn diagram on the next slide that kind of draws this point home a little bit. So you have to think outside the box a little bit, right? Stop thinking in your niche area. Okay, graduate school, getting a dissertation, they wanted you to focus in on this niche area, focus on this. No, you have to think a little bit differently if you want to raise your profile. So you want to use celebrities and influencers that obviously have crossover appeal. You need to connect with people that have an audience that is larger and wider than yours, an audience that is larger and wider than yours. Okay. And then um, you want this celebrity or influencer to have a fan base or an audience that is relevant in some way to your area, right? The area in which the book focuses on that you're publishing. So let's just break this down a little bit, right? So you see this Venn diagram here, okay? You have your niche area, and I'm just using myself as an example, right? So you follow my example, but you apply it to your specific area, whatever area you're publishing in, right? Anybody can do this. It doesn't matter what field. My niche area for, whatever book it is, let's say, Black comics, or race, the intersection of race, gender, and sexual orientation, whatever it is, that whatever the book is. It doesn't matter if it's an edited book or a single authored book, right? This works great for both. So you have your niche, and then you think about, okay, let's make a list of the celebrity or influencer that I want to work on this book. Okay, and in what capacity? Do you want them to just write the foreword? Do you want them to write the afterword? I mean, get two celebrities, right? Get two influencers, one to write the forward and one to write the afterword if you can. Or do you want them to write an actual chapter? Now, having them write an actual chapter is a little bit more difficult, and you have to be a little bit more strategic about that. I can't elaborate on that in this short webinar, but check out the e-course. I'll hold your hand. I'll take you step by step through it. But you're focusing on this centerpiece right here. You're focusing on this centerpiece. These arrows explain it all. So you have your niche area, okay? Let's take Henry Louis Gates, for example. My niche area, my audience, the people that are buying my encyclopedia of Black comics, they're going to know who Henry Louis Gates is, right? And so even if they might not be immediately interested in my book, now they're interested in it because they're like, oh man, Henry Louis Gates wrote the forward. I definitely, even if they don't want to read the book, they're like, I definitely need to have this book on my bookshelf, right? And then Henry Louis Gates has a super large platform, right? Lots of followers. Of course, he's going to tweet my book out, right? Of course, he's going to tell people he wrote the forward to this book. So now his fans, his audience, they might not be interested in Black comics, but now they're interested in the book because Henry Louis Gates is associated with it. And that's this audience here in the middle, right? You're focusing on reaching this middle audience. Okay, it's kind of like bi-directional. Okay, your niche knows this popular person, they're interested in your book. This popular person is driving people over to your book just because they're affiliated and associated with it. It's the whole concept of borrowing audiences. So this Venn diagram is for you to think strategically about your own area and apply it to whatever it is you're writing or doing. Okay, so these bullet points here, we're going to go through kind of quick because I don't like these webinars to be too long. I'm just giving you the information, getting in and out. So let's just go through these points. A note about academic publishers. They're not going to do this for you, right? You have to tell them. Okay, so you're not going to submit a book to an academic publisher and have the publisher say, hey, you ever think about having, I don't this celebrity write the forward? They're not going to say that. You have to tell them that you have made contact with a celebrity or influencer that is interested in writing the forward or afterward, and you're going to include them in the book. So, and it's your job to communicate with the celebrity or influencer to write this forward and afterward. And you might be thinking, well, how am I going to do that? This person doesn't know me. All of the people that I've mentioned here today, Henry Louis Gates, Philip Boutte Jr., I've never met them. They don't know me. Okay. I could walk past Henry Louis Gates right now. He's not going to have any idea who I am. Okay. Once they contribute to your book. You build up a relationship with them so that they do know you. But the point is, you just send them an email, right? And you might just think that that's crazy. So all you did was send Henry Louis Gates an email. Yes, but there's some context to it and some work that you have to do before and after, right? So stick with the Power Your Research platform. I'll hold your hand. I'll take you through it. And I'll introduce you to the e-course in a moment, so that we can teach you how to do that, right? Um, Targeting celebrities or influencers, there's lots of ways that you can do it, but it all involves getting in touch with them, okay? Whether it's sending them an email. I talk about the effective use of Twitter, right, on the e-course. Twitter is going to get you in contact with a lot of journalists and celebrities and influencers that you need to be in contact with in order to contribute to your work, okay? One very important factor in this is your actual book, right? Have a good book idea. And the three keys that I always talk about: make sure it's timely, significant, and relevant. Timely, significant, and relevant. Okay. These celebrities and influencers, they're going to be eager to contribute to your book. I know you might not think that now as I'm going through this, but you send a message to four celebrities or influencers about contributing to your book. Most likely at least two are going to respond back and say that they're interested, right? And again, I'm teaching you things that you may not have heard of before, so it might sound crazy, but I'm telling you, right? These celebrities and influencers, they want to know the next big thing that's coming. They want to be affiliated with work that is loosely or directly related to what they're doing, right? They want to stay relevant as well. So let me give you 6 quick examples of how you can contact celebrities or influencers, because you might still be thinking, well, how am I going to get in touch with these people? Okay, there's lots of ways. I'm only going to give you 6 here in this webinar. So for Henry Louis Gates, right? I told you I never met him, right? I've never. So I was at a conference and I saw a guy who had published a graphic novel, and Henry Louis Gates had wrote the foreword. And I said, "Oh, hey, how'd you get Henry Louis Gates to write the foreword?" He said he just emailed him. I opened my mouth, right? I talk about mindset matters in the Power Your Research platform. And I said, "Oh, can you help me like get in contact with him?" He said, "Sure, I'll give you his email address." I emailed him. Now I can show you the exact email that I sent. I didn't use a publicist. There was no in-between person. I can send you the exact email that I sent to him, cold email. But I did say, hey, this person that you wrote the forward for thought that you'd be a great fit for this. You butter them up a little bit in the email. Okay, I'll show you all of this in the Power Your Research platform. So that's one way, right? Network, right? You see someone wrote the forward for another book, ask how'd you do that, right? Next way, email addresses are on the internet like crazy. So for example, if there's a superstar academic, right? Some of these superstar academics are guests on CNN, MSNBC, all the major news outlets. Their email address is on their website. Okay, email them. Just email them, right? You have to say there's some things that you want to say in the email, right? You want to butter them up, tell them how awesome they are, tell them about your new book, right? You want to make sure your book is significant, relevant, and timely. 50% of the time they're going to respond, and they're going to want to do it. Okay, that's second way. Third way is effective use of Twitter. Get in these people's DMs and start pitching. Start asking them in the DMs. Okay, I can take screenshots of the direct messages that I've sent to celebrities on Twitter, and you'd be amazed at the response and the results. Twitter, sending a DM on Twitter is actually how I got on the Breakfast Club with Charlemagne the God, and I take you step by step around how I did that in the Power Your Research e-course. The fourth way I already talked about, right? Networking, meeting somebody at a conference, right? So, but sometimes celebrities or superstar academics that you want to have contribute to your book are at random different conferences. So let me give you another example. There was a CNN contributor that I saw at a conference that I was selling my books at, and he stopped by my table. He looked at the book. I looked up. I was like, oh man, I know that guy. right? I talked to him. I sold him my book. Later on, I emailed him. I got his email address. I got his email address from the internet, right? He's a professor, so his email address was on there. Hey, you remember me from that conference? I really be interested in you contributing to my book in some way. I've worked with that CNN. Um, I've worked with that guy on numerous capacities in my work, right? You have to constantly be thinking outside of the box like this. Next way. So I think we're on number 5 now, right? So on Twitter, you can follow celebrities. You can follow the people that are in your niche area. Okay, you follow them. You start commenting on their content, right? Commenting on content that's relevant to your niche area as an academic. After a while, they start to follow you. Once they start to follow you, you send them a direct message. Hey, I saw that you liked my comment. You build that relationship. You pitch right in that DM, right in that direct message. You pitch it. You pitch? I have this awesome book called Why Wakanda Matters. I really would love for you to contribute. You butter them up a little bit. Would you be interested? You'll be amazed at the response. Way number 6, right? And I'm only giving you 6 examples of how to do this. There's just lots more, okay? Way number 6 is your actual students. Okay, if you're an academic, you teach students. Give you a quick example. There's a guy named Tremaine Lee. Okay, he's on either CNN or MSNBC, right? He does reporting for CNN or MSNBC. I can't remember which one. Tremaine Lee, right? This would be a great person to write a forward or afterword or chapter for one of my books. I'm in class. I'm talking to one of my students. Her last name is Lee. Turns out her uncle is Tremaine Lee. And I didn't plan this. You get to know your students. Your students have connections all over the place, right? But when I learned that her uncle was Tremaine Lee, I said, "Oh, do you think that he would be interested in one of my upcoming book projects?" She said, "Yeah, the student happened to love me." She gave me his email address. Guess what? I emailed him. And when I emailed him to ask him to contribute to one of my books, he was all about it, right? So in the email, I said, your niece is such an awesome student. She has nice things to say about you. Tremaine, I love your work, blah, 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 blah. He was super eager. I've gotten lots of, actually, I was on PBS because of a student. A student was an intern at PBS. She told me she was in the car talking about things related to gender because she had taken my gender and communication class. And her boss said, "How do you know all this stuff about gender?" The student said, "Oh, my teacher, Dr. Howard, she teaches this stuff." I got a segment on PBS. All right. So I talked to you about all of these different ways and techniques, right? I hope